is Lori. Welcome back to my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper, or if this is your first time, welcome. Feel free to look around, subscribe if you'd like, and hit the little button at the top right hand of the web page, and you will get notifications every time a new video is posted. So today's video is a Booklist Readathon wrap-up and a little bit of my reading plans for the rest of April. They're not firm, so I'm having a little trouble with my reading plans for the rest of April. But let's wrap up Booklist Readathon quickly first. This was the first readathon sponsored by Sarah at Sarah's Nightstand and Lindsay at Lindsay's Little Library, and they had a really good number of people participating. And so I set a goal for myself to read 5 books during the week, and I was not sure that I would be able to do that, and indeed I was not able to finish 5 books this week. I finished 3.5-ish. I had a lot going on for work and some evening events socially and some house showings on the weekend, and just yeah, it was kind of a weird week for me. So I'm not sure. I would love to have a readathon where I take the whole week off of work to just do nothing but read, but I don't know if that's even ever realistic. But I enjoyed what I did read, and I enjoyed pushing myself to finish the 3 and to keep reading a bit on the half a book that I finished. So the first one that I finished was Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. This was fulfilling the prompt of reading a 5-star prediction. And I did give it 5 stars. I really did enjoy it. It was a little slow for me at first, I will admit. I wasn't sure how I felt about Eleanor right off the bat. She's a bit prickly, her personality, socially awkward, but she sets out to make some changes, and indeed she does make some changes. It's heartwarming, it is funny, it is difficult at times to read, but I really do recommend it highly, and I think that it's great. I think it's been optioned as an adaptation to film or to series by Reese Witherspoon, it looks like, so stay tuned for that, but I'm glad that I read it before it came out in a movie or series adaptation. So that took me a couple of days. It took me way longer than I thought it would. And so about, I think it was Friday or so, maybe it was Saturday. I think I started it maybe on Friday. I started The Art of Racing in the Rain by Garth Stein. We've had this book on our library shelves for a long time, and I've just never read it. And after the first chapter, I wasn't sure that I would continue because it starts out really hard to take. If you own a pet, particularly a dog that looks like this one, or you have owned a dog that looks like this one, and we have, it's tricky. But it follows the story of a man named Denny, who is a race car driver, and his dog Enzo, and kind of what happens in their lives together. Lovely read. I was surprised by how sweet it was. It's really told from Enzo's perspective, which is refreshing, and it made me start to look at my dogs the last few days as they're looking at me and wondering what they're thinking and what they've been watching on TV and what they've been doing while I haven't been in the room. But I really did enjoy it, and surprisingly, I also gave this 5 stars, and this fulfilled the prompt to read a book that either Sarah or Lindsay had recommended, and Sarah had recommended it a bit ago. So this one fulfilled that prompt, and in a minute, I'll tell you about what it might do to another prompt and another readathon that I might be doing. The third book I finished pretty much in a day and a half was Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. Now this one is on my Audible account, and I also downloaded the ebook copy from Overdrive, my library. So I did a combination of listening when I had time and reading the ebook, and I wasn't feeling well yesterday, so I literally read almost all day with the exception of 2 hours maybe of the day. So that was how I was able to finish Little Fires Everywhere. It follows a couple of families, one single parent and her daughter who have been pretty nomadic in their lives, and the mother is a photographer, but she also does a lot of things to make ends meet, and she becomes the renter and housekeeper of a larger family in a very affluent neighborhood with several children, teenagers, 2 boys and 2 girls. It's a family character-driven story about motherhood, about being a teenager, about loving, about finding people that understand you and that connect with you. Uh, it's about art. It's about people taking a chance. It's about relationships that are severed suddenly and maybe are in need of a redemption. It's really well written, I think, and it was a fast read. It was a very fast read, much faster for me for some reason than Eleanor Oliphant was. But I did also give this 5 stars. So can you believe it? The 3 books that I completed all were 5-star reads for me. I do plan to read another book by Celeste Ng. I think Everything I Never Told You is the name of it, possibly. So that's definitely on my radar now. But I like her, and I also appreciated that that I read a book by a diverse author. That's kind of my goal this year too, is to read more diverse authors. And so this was written by an Asian American author. So I appreciated that. And this followed the prompt to read a book that was, that started with an L or an S for Lindsay or Sarah. So Little Fires Everywhere fulfilled that prompt for me. A book I read this week for the readathon and didn't complete is Atomic Habits by James Clear. This was gifted to me by a teammate for a company I do some work for, and I got about 80 pages in. I did a combination of reading the hardback book as well as listening to it on Scribd. So I can find that I listen in the mornings while I'm getting ready for work, and sometimes if I'm driving or things like that. So I was able to get probably maybe not quite a third of the way in, but I like it. He has some good ideas about stacking habits. He has some good chapters explaining how we're sort of wired toward habits and what things maybe don't work. And so I do like it so far. I am having a little trouble with my Scribd. I'm on the free trial month, and I've actually reached out to customer service because I feel like if this is the quality of the playback, I'm not sure I'll keep it. But so I may have to kind of go back and look at some things because I just am not getting a good seamless delivery of the audiobook on the app that I'm using. So if anybody has any tips about that, if there's a trick I'm missing, I would appreciate you letting me know. But nevertheless, this is my not quite a half, my 3 and a fourth maybe books completed for the readathon. And the other one that I was planning to read, I had obviously 2 others I was planning to read that I didn't get to: The City of Flickering Light. And no, that was it. There was 5. So The City of Flickering Light would have fulfilled the prompt to read a book that's on your list because it's on my NetGalley list. And Atomic Habits is read an author that is new to you. And James Clear is definitely new to me. So those were my Booklist Readathon TBR books, and that's how I did. So in total, I read 1,067 pages. I read 3 5-star fiction books and a third of 1 nonfiction book whose stars are yet to be determined. I read 1 book that was over 10 years old, and the others are fairly new in publication. So that was neat as well. Now, what are my plans for the rest of the month? I do want to finish Atomic Habits, and I want to read The City of Flickering Light, which is again a NetGalley soon to be released book, and I want to review it before it is released. I also might want to participate in the Owls Readathon, which is, I guess it's the magical readathon, and it's the Owls portion of the readathon year. So this is a pretty robust readathon that was designed at Book Roast, which is the booktube channel. I don't know her name. I've never really been watching her videos until recently when somebody started talking about the magical readathon. I could go on and on and on about this, but let's just say she's designed this pretty amazingly and very creatively. So it's a readathon based on Harry Potter's series, but not necessarily that you have to read Harry Potter books though. And it is, if it sort of goes along with the premise that when you were in your second or third year, you took your OWL exams, and then later on in year 6, maybe you took your newts. Maybe it was longer. It's been so long since I've read Harry Potter. Honestly, I can't remember. But nevertheless, the prompts are your OWL's test prompts, and you take the tests based on the what you aspire to be, whether you aspire to be a librarian, whether you aspire to be a herbologist. She has created this entire PDF booklet that you can print out that will fulfill your career aspiration, or at least will begin to put you on the path toward your career aspiration in a magical realm. But you do not have to read fantasy books or Harry Potter books, which is, I think, very important for you to know. Now, why would I want to start another readathon? Well, there's a couple reasons. One is it goes for the entire month of April. So I don't have to read a ton of books in 1 week, although I can if I want to. The other is because she's designed this really neat thing. So for example, this is the letter you get, you print out. Of course, I need to print it out a little differently because it cut off, but that introduces you to your OWLs and how you will commence with them. And then here are the topics for your OWL tests, which of course you would use as your prompts. So the reason why this also appeals to me is that 2 of the books I just completed will fulfill 2 of these prompts. So Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine, will fulfill the Muggle Studies topic, which is a contemporary read, and The Art of Racing in the Rain will fulfill the History of Magic prompt, which is a book that has been published at least 10 years ago. And The Art of Racing in the Rain was published in 2008, so just over 10 years ago. So the others are a retelling work written by more than one author, which I have one of those available to me on Audible. A star in the title, which I have on my Kindle, Where the Forest Meets the Stars. A land animal on the cover, not sure about that. I guess if I could use 2 books, that would also, Art of Racing in the Rain would also fulfill that prompt. Age line, read an adult work, pretty easy to do. Reducto, title starts with an R. Yeah, no, not really starting with an R. Set in the future, plant on the cover, next ingredient or sequel, and then sprayed edges or red cover. So I've got some things to play with here. So I might take a look at the career aspirations and see where I might fall, or I just may look for books that would fulfill that prompt. It will, I have discovered when I do that, it will kind of keep me looking at some new things I want to read. Also, it gives me an opportunity to take things off my shelves and read them. Lily and the Octopus is another book that I might take a look at. Went and pulled it off the shelf really quickly, by Stephen Rowley. This does have a land animal on the cover, so that would fulfill that prompt. This was recommended by Garth Stein. I figure if I'm gonna cry over books about pets, I might as well do it all in a row and get them over with. I think Lily has a cancerous tumor, which is the reference to the octopus, and it has a lot of great recommendations from authors that I really like, and it's been on our shelves for a bit, and my partner really liked it, and I think Sarah Swan read it as well. So I do think I'm going to take a look at that this month. So I've got some play. I can do some mood reading and really kind of just see what would fit the prompts. And I think I'm going to do it. And then hopefully I'll be ready in the fall to take my newts. The next offering of the Magical Readathon is the entire month of August, it appears. So I would encourage you to check out Book Roast. I'll link the video about the readathon below. You can see the incredible work she's gone through in order to create this and make it special. And so I want to honor that work and participate in her readathon as well. I had a great time reading. I have read 17 out of my 40 books, and it's only the start of the second quarter of the year. So I'm 43% complete to my goal. Now I'm very happy with this because, you know, I may be moving soon, so I don't want to get behind on reading or on posting videos. So I'm going to try to do 1 to 2 a week continually, but bear with me. I'll let you know if there's some things that are going to get in the way. Last week was tough for me to get 2 out, and so I did not. But hopefully this week I'll be able to do that. Thanks again to Sarah and Lindsay for making such a great first readathon happen. And as always, happy reading. Bye-bye.